Hey you guys, hey you guys, hey you guys, hey you guys. So, day two, it is day two of Leader live every day in August. And so, yesterday I went live on Instagram and here on YouTube. Today, Instagram is trying to give me some problems, but listen, the show must go on. So, yesterday I talked about knowing your data. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. So I'm Lagisha Moore. I am the president, CEO, founder of Moore Consulting. I am a SPED and RTI instructional coach and consultant. I help schools close the achievement gaps for their students with learning disabilities and their at risk students. So I got that out of the way. So, one of the things I really want to focus on today, because it's so important that you know certain things as you go into this next school year. Some of you will be starting this week. Some of you will be starting in the coming weeks. School in New York City doesn't start until September for public schools, and many charter schools will be opening up sometime mid to late August. But it's important for you to know yourself. Yesterday, we talked about knowing the data. Today, we're talking about knowing yourself. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about knowing the kids. And then the following day, we're going to talk about knowing the content, knowing your content. So, as far as why it's important to know yourself, before I get into that, I want to just let you know that I am going to be referencing the work of, let me make sure I have his name right, Hattie, last name Hattie. I believe his first name is John. Yes, John Hattie, and his work at looking at what are the 250 plus influences on student achievement. Now, I've been able to just reduce a lot of this down to just four areas: knowing the content, knowing yourself, knowing the data, and knowing the kids. Now, in his research and his meta analysis, when he looked at multiple studies, right, he was able to come up with these 250 plus influences. And looking at his work, which is from the visible learning research, he had, let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, seven categories: potential to considerably accelerate student achievement, potential to accelerate student achievement, likely to have positive impact on student achievement, likely to have small positive impact on student achievement, likely to have negative impact on student achievement, and the effect size calculated using, yeah. So it was those criteria. Sorry, one, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four, five. Five. Sorry, five categories. And so when I looked at the teacher, and I'm referencing his download, I am referencing his download. I don't think I'm taking anybody's work. Um, his research proved what I knew, and kind of over my 20 plus years of teaching, came to the understanding to know that the impact of a teacher knowing themselves, right? Knowing their strengths, their weaknesses, their abilities, their competencies, things where they were really credible and being able to teach, and things that they were really not so credible. Not that they couldn't do it, but they just weren't experienced in teaching certain things. It has a huge impact on student achievement. So, in his meta analysis data, he found that teacher clarity, how clear a teacher is, how clear you are when you're teaching your subject matter, teacher credibility, right? How credible are you? And we're going to really dig into that. And then teacher estimates of achievement, right? How high do you set the bar? How high do you expect your children, your students to achieve? Do you set the bar really low? They'll meet it low. Do you set it medium? They'll meet it medium. Or do you set it high? High enough where it's just out of their reach, where they really have to stretch. And so he identified teacher clarity with a 0.75 um, uh, a 0.75, right? And anything over zero point 0.4 was considered to be something of what? Either potential to accelerate or potential to considerably accelerate. So teacher clarity and teacher credibility and teacher estimates of achievement, those three criteria for teachers were all over, well over zero point 0.4. So teacher clarity was 0.75, teacher credibility was 0.90, and teacher estimates of achievement was 1.29. How significant is that? What you think your students can do, what your expectations are. So it is extremely important. It's crucial that you know what you're teaching, right? And you have to know yourself. What are your strengths? You're a new graduate, you graduated in the past maybe year or two, so this is maybe your first or second year teaching. What is it that you feel you do well? Are you strong in reading if you're an elementary student? I mean, elementary teacher. Are you feeling more strong in your ability to teach math? Do you feel like you have science as a content area really on lock? You feel very confident in your ability to teach science because you really know the content? Is social studies, history, is that your thing? Do you feel your strength is in that area? Whatever that is, you need to be clear about what that is because you want to build on your strengths. Now, absolutely, we all have weaknesses. As a new teacher, you're probably going to feel that your weaknesses far outweigh your strengths, but everyone comes to the table with some strengths. Everyone comes to the table with some strengths. So it's important for you now, as you're about to go into the school year, sit down and really take the time to think through, what are my strengths? What do I do well? Or am I good at organizing? Is my time management, good? Is my organizational skills really, a strength for me? Am I really confident with reading, teaching reading and writing? Do I love history? Is science really where I just really excel because I love all things science? Start there. Because when you build on that confidence, when you have to tackle the weaknesses, the things that you are not as strong in, you are not coming from a place where, oh, I only have deficits. You're coming from a place of strengths. How can I parlay my love of the one thing, the strength that I have in either English or ELA as we call it, or math? How can I parlay that over to another subject matter? How is my ability to be a really great organizer? How is that going to help me with teaching any content? Maybe I don't feel confident in any of the content areas. I don't feel very confident in teaching ELA. I don't feel confident in teaching math. I don't feel confident in teaching any real subject matter, but I am great at time management. I am a great organizer. How can I use those personal strengths, those personal characteristics to help me in my classroom? You have to know who you are. So take the time to sit down and write down what your strengths are. Write down what your areas of weakness are. Because when you start from that place, when you're clear about who you are and what you bring to the table, then you can be your authentic self with the students. There is nothing. Hear me. Hear me. There's nothing worse than you being fake. Students see right through fake. We talk about teachers having superpowers. Kids have superpowers. That's one of their superpowers. They see right through fake. Don't be fake. Don't be disingenuous. Be authentic. Be your real self. Listen, am I saying to you, like, going in, like, you guys, I haven't a clue as how to teach math. I'm just I just can't do it. No, I'm not saying that. But if you know that math is a challenge for you, be like, guys, listen, this isn't a place that I feel the most comfortable in. But guess what? We're going to do this together. I feel that I've gotten a certain handle on it, or however you want to word it. You don't want to word it in such a way where you have the children thinking like, oh gosh, she don't know what she's talking about. He don't know what he's talking about. Oh Lord, we in trouble. I'm not gonna get it. If they don't understand, I'm definitely not gonna understand. No, absolutely not. But if you're honest with the kids and say, listen, I'm not the most comfortable with this subject matter, but guess what? I've taken the initiative to do, right? Because we want to create in our students lifelong learners. So you'll be honest. Listen, I had to go on Khan Academy and look at some tutorials. I reached out to the math coach and had the math coach give me, some little coaching on how to support to how to teach this, how to make sure you guys understand it, but first making sure I understand it. So being honest and genuine, like, listen, we're in this together. It's not I have all the answers, I know everything, I am the master of all things. Because if you are going through it and you do falter, you do make a mistake, you do make an error, because you will, because you're human, we're all human. You first putting off that persona that you have it all together, and then you falter or you fail or you make a mistake, the kids are now, they are less likely to give you a little bit of grace. When you're honest with kids about where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, they are more likely to give you grace. So be honest with yourself. Write down your strengths, write down your weaknesses. If you know a certain subject matter, a certain thing about teaching is a weakness for you, seek out help early. Be proactive, proactive, proactive. Don't be reactive, because your principal, your administrator, your supervisors, they're going to come in and they're going to want to see the full picture. Trust me, they know if you've done a demo lesson for your principals before getting the job, they kind of know what your weaknesses are and they'll see your strengths. So don't pretend, be genuine. So that, because that feeds into the credibility. And remember, credibility, according to John Hattie, is a 0.9% chance. So you being credible to your students has the potential to considerably accelerate student achievement. We want to talk about closing the achievement gap. Who are you? How credible are you as a teacher? That's going to go a long way in helping to close the achievement gap. In my career, listen, what you see is what you get. My students knew, listen, this is Miss Moore, this is Miss Moore all day, every day. This is me. I didn't try to be something that I wasn't. I didn't try to act like someone who I wasn't. I didn't try to be someone else. There were wonderful teachers I worked with, but I had to be me. I had to be who I was, right? And so my students over the years always appreciated that. They appreciated my realness, my genuineness, my authenticity. So be real, because that speaks volumes to your credibility. Be clear. As a teacher, knowing yourself, if you know that you are someone, you aren't the most comfortable talking in front of people, which is kind of weird. If you're a teacher, you should feel comfortable talking in front of people, because that's what you do as a teacher all day. You talk in front of students. But think about, this goes into your intellectual prep time, right? Be clear about what you're going to teach. Be clear about the objectives, the goals, right? The points you're trying to make. Be clear. Your ability to be clear is 0.75. So it has the high potential, right, to considerably accelerate student achievement. How clear you are as a teacher. Now, this is not to come for anyone who English is their second language, but do your best to be as clear as you can, especially if English isn't your first language, right? And that's just the reality of what it is. And even if English is your first language, we know we want to put down, slang and ebonics. We want to use those, sparingly here and there if it helps to, make a point or back up something we're trying to say. Absolutely. I'm not saying you throw it all out. If you work in an urban school, students have heard, slang and, different colloquialisms, but we want to use those things sparingly. We want to model proper English to the best of our ability. So we want to be clear. And so your expectations was another one. How are you showing, expressing, putting forth your expectations for your students? Now, this is going to get touchy, and I'm going to, again, be real and authentic with you. If you are going into a school where it's of a different cultural background, you're of one culture and your students are predominantly of another culture, you got to talk about those stereotypes, those biases, those ideas, those things that you have that you might feel about that other culture. Now, am I saying talk to your students about that? Absolutely not. But this is the conversation you may have internally, like, what do you think? And then talk to your colleagues, someone you trust, someone you feel comfortable with, your family. Take the time to do cultural immersion. Go into that community, find out about the culture, find out about the people, but don't make assumptions. Don't go with stereotypes that, oh, if I go into this community with this type of, with this predominant group of people, that they're going to act this way, or they're going to act that way, or the parents are going to be this way or that way. And even if you see things that are stereotypical, still be mindful to stay away from stereotypes, because we know historically, when the bar is set low for African American students, African American boys, they clearly don't do well. If you set the bar low, they reach the low. You set it medium, they set the medium. Try to reach the medium. If you set it high, they try to reach the high. But they know when you don't care, when you don't think they can. It'll show up in your demeanor. It'll show up in your classroom environment. It'll show up in your language, what you say, what you don't say. It'll show up in your body language. It'll show up in how you grade their papers, how you give them feedback, what you allow them to participate in, what groups you put them in, how you talk to them. Are you coming from things in a positive way or a negative way? Do you believe they can achieve? Do you believe they can succeed? You want to really take the time. So these are all of the things you want to think about as you are about to enter into your classroom. You want to know yourself and be honest with yourself. Know what your strengths and weaknesses are. Know what your stereotypes are, what your biases are against, or about another group that's different from you. If you're going into, to work in a community where, you are of a different background. You want to be clear about those things. You want to tackle things head on. You want to be authentic. You want to teach absolutely to your strengths, but recognize for your weaknesses, compensate for those weaknesses by seeking help. It's nothing worse than an administrator, and I was in leadership, and I had to go in and observe and do observations and feedback, and I managed teachers. It's nothing worse than trying to pretend. Don't try to pretend. Please don't think that your principal, your AP, whoever is called to be your direct supervisor, if they've gotten to that point in that position, clearly they're a master teacher or they're an experienced teacher. They know. They know the fluff from the real thing. They know the truth from the false. So don't pretend. Your students know the real from the fake. Don't pretend. Okay? So that's what I wanted to leave you with today. I just wanted to make sure you are clear about, listen, know yourself. You're reading the data, so you're getting to know your students. You're reading those IEPs, you're reading the management needs, you're reading the PLOPs, the present levels of performance. You are reading about their testing accommodations, what services they need, their promotional criteria. So you're getting to know your students. You got to know you. You got to know you. Because when you go into that office to have that conversation for your pre-observation and then your post-observation, your principal, your administrator is going to ask you those questions. What do you think went well? What do you think could have been better? What do you think didn't go as well as you like? Talk to me about that. Take the time to think those things through now, and then be able to say, listen, this is the plan that I have. These are the things that I feel I do well, but these are the things I don't feel as confident with. But this is the plan I have in place to support me, to help build me up, to strengthen that weakness that I have in that particular area, or areas if it's more than one. All right. So that's it for today. This is day 2 of Leader live every day in August. I hope that I am able to figure out what is going on with Instagram, that I could go live on Instagram as well. And yeah, so I want to thank you for watching the replay. Let me know. Do you think what I said makes sense? Is it important for you to know yourself, right? Or is what I'm saying just like, oh, that's foolishness, Lakeisha? Like, that's not even necessary. I don't have to know myself. I'm just jump right in, start lesson planning, and just go for it. And just however it is, it's just me doing this whole self-analysis and being self-reflective is not even important to what I have to do. I have to, worry about students and grades and tests and all of that. Me, nah, it's not important. Tell me. I would love to know your honest feedback. Be authentic, be real. I can handle it. I'm a big girl. I can take the feedback. I would really love your feedback. So, with that being said, I thank you again for watching the replay, sharing the replay, liking the replay, and letting me know your thoughts. If what I said makes sense, or if what I'm saying really is like, nah, I don't think so. And we will meet again tomorrow, same time, same place, hopefully on YouTube and Instagram, if I can figure out what's going on with Instagram. And I want to thank you for watching the replay. Have a blessed and wonderful evening.